Welcome to this very special edition of Vocabulary. We have a guest with us today. She's going to help me read the vocabulary terms. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. Irrational numbers. Irrational numbers are real numbers that cannot be written in the form A over B. And to make it a little bit simpler, as a decimal, they go on forever but never repeat. So a couple examples of irrational numbers would be pi, which we all know goes on forever and ever. And so this number here, yes, pi. This number here that you can see has no repeating values, and the 3 dots implies that it goes on forever. And the square root of 2, because 2 is not a perfect square, so it's an irrational number. Any number that is not a perfect square that they try to take the square root of is going to be irrational. All right, our next word is square root. Square roots are numbers that when multiplied by themselves, the product is the given number. Okay, so what this means is if I take 3 times 3, it will give me 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. Or the square root of 169 is 13. Because 13 times 13 is 169. Or the square root of 25 over 81. The square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 81 is 9. So the square root of 25 over 81 is 5 over 9. Our next word, perfect square. So we know that squares have to be the same on all sides, the same length on each side. So keep that in mind when we're talking about perfect squares, and that'll definitely help you out. So a perfect square is the product when multiplying a number by itself. Okay, when you arrange this number of pieces, you can make a square. So here are some examples that I gave you. So before we did 3 times 3 and it gave us 9. So 9 is a perfect square. And if you look here, when I take 9 pieces, I can put them 3 by 3 and make a square. 36. 6 times 6 gives us 36. So 36 is a perfect square. 16. 4 by 4 gives us 16. So look at like the number 6. If I do 6 pieces, and we'll just draw this quick. So if I have 1, that's a bad example because it's not filled in. So if I do 1, and then if I do that, if I make 5 more of those, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there is no way for me to arrange these to make a square. I can go there we go. Oops, I actually need one more. So I can go 2 by 3, but this is not a perfect square because this is 2 and this is 3. So therefore 6 is not a perfect square. Cube root. Cube roots are numbers that when multiplied by themselves 3 times get you the given product. So a number that when multiplied by itself 3 times, the product is the given number. So in this case, let's say we have 27. The cube root of 27 is going to be 3 because if I do 3 times 3 times 3, it gives me 27. When you're looking for the cube root, you'll see this radical sign, but with a 3 here, whereas before you saw the radical sign with nothing, that implies square root. Here is cube root because it multiplies by itself 3 times. So here the cube root of 64 is 4 because 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. And last but not least, perfect cube. A perfect cube is the product when multiplying a number by itself 3 times. So for example, if I do 3 times 3 times 3, that gives me 27. Or 2 times 2 times 2 gives me 8. Or 4 times 4 times 4 gives me
14.
No, that's 64, silly.
64.
So 4 times 4 times 4 gives me 64. So 64 is a perfect cube. Right. So those are your vocabulary terms for Module 1, Lesson 1. Thank you, guest star.
You're welcome.